Hi everyone, my name is Chris and you've reached Chris Loves Lux, and today we're talking about my top 5 foundations. Now, it was very difficult for me to get to 5. I have probably close to 20, and getting it down to 5 was a little complicated, so I had to really think about what is it that I reach for when I'm going out, whether it's to the store, whether it's to the restaurant, whether it's this, whether it's that. Now, I have not been wearing makeup as much since the pandemic began, to be honest with you, right? At one point, I wasn't wearing it at all because it was just like, oh, why? Why should I do it? But then I started to not feel like myself. So I started to do it anyway. Sit in my vanity, do a full face bead. It just made me feel better. So now I pretty much do it every day, if not every other day. So I started to think about, well, what is it that I reach for? And foundation is very situational. So in my mind, it's like situational foundation. Depending on what situation you're going into will determine which foundation you want to use. For instance, if you want a full face bead and you want to look like you're red carpet ready, you may want something that is very, very, very full coverage, super full coverage, like a Estee Lauder double wear or something like that. That's not necessarily a foundation you're going to wear every day because it is so full coverage, right? I don't care what blemish you have, it most likely will correct it or cover it. I don't wear foundations like that every day because I don't have hyperpigmentation and I have very little blemishes. So I tend to stick with medium coverage. Even if something is buildable to a foundation, I don't use that much product to build a foundation that much. I have light coverage foundations as well that I like in the summertime when you don't want all of that on your face, right? At least I don't. So another thing you want to think about is the type of skin that you have. I have combination oily skin and I really lean oily in the summer, right? In my T-zone, all right here. I mean, and you could call it a T. I call it an I because I swear it's just like this. That entire part of my face is just has oil. It's crazy. So because of that, I choose foundations in my summertime that are really matte and lightweight, right? So that, it's not drawing the oils out. It's keeping my oils at bay so that I'm not finding myself blotting all the time, right? So that's my preference, and that's based on my skin type, right? Someone that's oily with hyperpigmentation may still want something that is buildable to full coverage, and they'll build it up to full coverage, or they'll just wear something full coverage, So you also want to think about, do you want something matte or you want something more radiant, luminous, hydrating? I, being oily, cannot do that. I wanted to enjoy, for instance, the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation, which I have right here. Let's see if I can pull it out. And you see I use some of it, right? I can't use this foundation. Maybe in the winter, I think that's when I wore it the most. And it's because it is luminous, and it's just like it's like I put it on and it talks to my oils and say, hey, oils, come out and play. And then my oils just start coming out probably 3 hours into use. And I'll be at a 10 o'clock meeting at work and I'm like, oh my God, my face is slick. So while the coverage is awesome, I love the actual foundation, I can't wear it, right? At least not but for a couple hours. If I'm going out and it's 8 o'clock at night and I'm going to be back by 11, that's different. But if I'm going to be out any longer than 3-4 hours, this I can't work with, right? So I keep it here because I do like it. And if I'm just going to the supermarket or something like that and I just want to throw something on, then yes, I can use it. But if you're really going to do anything, if I'm going to do anything longer than that, then this is not going to work for me, right? Another thing is the oxidation level. A lot of foundations oxidize. That means that when you put it on and the air hits it, it gets darker. And sometimes it turns orange, red, things like that. The Fenty Beauty one, which I have 2 colors of, it oxidizes. And I don't like that, right? And the reason I don't like it is it oxidizes like a shade and a half darker, at least for me, right? I was at work. I wore it. I bought it when it came out, and I wore it to work, and I'm happy, and I'm like, oh, this, I'm looking great. 3 hours later, I happened to look in the mirror. I said, how the hell did I get this orange? And then I'm like looking online, like looking at the reviews, like what the heck happened? And then that's when I realized it oxidizes. And that's not something that the salesperson told me when I purchased the color. So I had to go back and buy a lighter color knowing it was going to oxidize and to be darker, right? It's not something crazy because the actual finish is fabulous. It is matte. It will give you a flawless finish, but you have to be okay with the fact that it gets darker. So sometimes you can mix it, and that's what I do. I mix it with other foundations that might be a little more luminous, like the Anastasia Beverly Hills, if you want to keep those oils at bay. But we're going to talk about the ones where I don't have to do all of that, and the ones I truly like to use. And the first one I want to talk about is by Dior. It's the Dior Forever Matte Foundation. I actually have it in 2 colors. This is 4.5N for neutral, which is my undertone when I'm not in the summertime. And then I have 5N, which is my summer shade. And I have 2 colors specifically because I was actually using this last summer. I was on a cruise and I was sitting out in that sun, and I went to dinner. I went to do my makeup for dinner, and this wasn't going to work, right? So I had to bronze my face up just to get through dinner. Then I went down to the beauty shop. They had a shop in the Galleria, and I bought this one because they carried Dior in a 5N because that's how much I like the foundation, and I needed to make sure that the color matched my tan. So I do like this foundation. I will say that this foundation has alcohol in it, like a lot of my other foundations do. But because I'm oily and I don't have eczema and some other things that alcohol may aggravate, I'm okay with having alcohol. This also has a fragrance to it. I do not have a sensitivity to fragrance, but many people do. It either breaks them out or they just can't stand the smell around their nose, and in which case, Dior may not be for you, but this is a very good foundation. Again, this is the Dior Forever Matte Foundation. My next foundation is also by Dior, and this is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. Yep, face and body. So you cannot bring it down to your neck. If you have maybe a tattoo you want to cover, I'm not sure if this is going to really, because this is not full coverage. You can build it to full, but you can use this on other places of your body, your legs, things of that nature. So this is a very good foundation. What I like different about this one versus the Dior Forever Matte, this one is water resistant, not waterproof. I know they say waterproof. Me, it's water resistant. It's going to, when you sweat and things of that nature, it's still going to stay in place. And that in the summertime is key. When you sweat, you may be at the beach, you might be in the pool, and you're trying to keep, somebody splashes you and you want to strangle them for splashing you, but especially if you have makeup on. But this is a very good foundation to have for those instances. So this is the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. The next foundation that I absolutely adore is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. This is actually the Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation, and that is exactly what it is. It is weightless. You won't remember you have it on. I bought this foundation last year when it released, and last summer I got it. At that time it was my summer shade 70WR. And then once the summer was over and my tan started to fade, I bought it in 70NN, which is my majority of the year shade. I will call it that. I love this foundation. It is, it's not too luminous. It's not too matte. It's just the perfect foundation for everyone. Whether you're oily or dry, I recommend this foundation. It says it lasts up to 24 hours. I don't keep my foundation on for 24 hours, so I didn't test that idea. I can tell you I've had it on for up to 16 with no problem. Yes, my oils will break through. My oils break through with every foundation I have. When you have it on all day, it's going to happen. You're going to be eating. I drink a lot of coffee, the steam from the coffee. Things are going to happen where you're going to have to blot. You might have to, use a little pressed powder or something like that. That's not a big deal to me. The question is, how does my makeup look when I'm going from work to eat with friends, or I'm going from work on a date? Do I have to reapply my whole face, or is it still going to look similar to how it looked in the morning? And this will work. This will work for pretty much everybody. So again, this is this Urban Decay Stay Naked Weightless Liquid Foundation. And I will put a link to where you can buy, and you can get all of these at Sephora. So I'll just go on Sephora and link them all there. I'll put links down so that you guys can see, because what I didn't do was look up how much each thing costs. But I want to say that the Dior was $52. The Stay Naked is $39 if I'm not mistaken. But I'll put the links down just so that you have it for reference. My next foundation is by Makeup Forever. It's called the Makeup Forever Reboot. They actually redid their formula in late 2019, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been September, October timeframe. But when it came out, I did purchase it. It got rave reviews from different beauty influencers. I tried it out first as a sample. I loved it, so I went back and got a full bottle. This is in the color Y445. It is not a true matte, but it is not ultra luminous and radiant and hydrating where I'm going to just produce oils and be an oil slick. I can get a good 6 to 8 hours out of this, right? So if I was going to work in the winter time, I could get probably 10 hours out of it. In the summer, 6 to 8. And that's because I do produce oils, but just not that quickly in this foundation. I love the coverage. I love the feel of the foundation. I definitely recommend this one as well. And this one could go for anybody, whether you're oily or dry. Last foundation is the Shiseido Synchro Skin Self-Refreshing Foundation. It is oil-free, right? So it is meant for people that are oily like myself. It has an SPF of 30 in it. I should have mentioned that the Dior has an SPF of 35 in it, the Dior Forever Matte. So the additional sunscreen is always a plus, but it does not replace the fact that you should be wearing sunscreen, which is something I argue with people about all the time that say, well, I don't need to wear sunscreen because sunscreen is in my makeup. No, that's not how it works. That's just an extra shield. You're supposed to shield your skin before you go outside. You should wear sunscreen. No matter what your ethnicity is, you should be wearing a sunscreen. Period. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. So this foundation is so lovely. It goes on smoothly. It is so easy to blend. You don't need a lot. It gives me superb coverage. My oils stay at bay for a good 12 hours before I probably like, okay, this I'm starting to see a difference. But sometimes if I use a different powder, and I have specific powders I use for this one, where my oils will stay at bay even longer, and I can get 14 to 16 hour wear out of that. And that's for the long days that I might have, or had, I should say, when I was going in the office. So this is in the color, I think I said it, 440 Amber. I love this foundation. Highly recommend this foundation as well. I want to say this one is 64, but again, I'll put the links down below so that you're able to know what the actual prices are for it. All of these foundations that I mentioned, again, they are available at Sephora. Not all of them are available at Ulta. I think only one actually is available at Ulta, but you can get all of these at Sephora. Now, my honorable mention. I have to mention it because I do love the foundation. It just costs too damn much. And that is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate foundation. I actually did a review. I'll link the review down below. I did a review last week, a wear test and review on this foundation. I love it, but the foundation is $150. I don't mind spending the $150 again, but not quickly, which is why I don't wear this every day. I might wear it once a week, maybe once every other week. I do not wear it often. It is very lightweight foundation. It gives you superb coverage. It lasts. Take a look at my my review, my wear test. It lasted a while, and I was cooking. I had a mask on when I went to the supermarket, everything, and it just wore perfectly in the 8 hours I think I had it on. So definitely something. It's a luxe bottle. You get the whole feel of luxury with the magnetic closure and everything. I love this foundation. Definitely will purchase it again. Again, not this year though. If I run out of it in 2021, I'll repurchase it. But if I run out of it in 2020, it's gonna wait to 2021 before I pay another $150 for it. Okay. But again, I love this foundation. Great job, Tom, for it. So those are my foundations that I keep in a rotation. Again, very much based on what my oily skin, right? Situational, based on what situation I'm walking into, whether it's a Zoom call or a run to shop, right? But those are the foundations that I lean towards. So in some of my future videos that you'll see in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to do setting powders as well, so that you, in primers, so that you understand, because how I pair them with these foundations, because depending on the foundation and how I know it wears, I will change the primer and the setting powder to make them perform better. So anyway, that's the end of my list of my top 5 foundations plus my honorable mention. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that the next time and all the future times that I post a video, you get a notification about it. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned to the next video. Bye, guys.